Hey guys, it's Sam with Nexus Workshop, and I am going to do a little bit of a walkthrough of the actual board itself today, and then the initial setup. So right here, I've got one of the boards. I've got this one plugged in. This is how it's going to come to you. So it's got its little breakout board. It's got its the actual thing itself. I'm going to put it here so that it doesn't try to blur it out. But down each side, you got your terminal strips. They are labeled L1 through 24 and R1 through 24. 1 through 4 are not used. So it's going to start at 5 and go to 24. If you ever have to pull this off, this can just be unplugged and plug back in. But again, those first 4 you're going to skip. You're going to line up the pins to this end, so all the connections are flat on this end. Those labels are all going to be inside the interface. So every time you do something, it's going to say, hey, I'm GPIO 18, but I'm L12 or whatever it is. So you can use that to easily figure out left side, right side, where to plug it in. You'll also notice that I have lights on everything that is showing me the high or low status of the pin, which can be really useful. Some other key features on this board, it has down each side, you have your screw terminal, and then you have in the center here, red, yellow, and black. Red are the voltage rail, yellow are the actual pin itself, just in a different form factor, and then black are ground. So if you have things like servo connections or things like that, you can actually just plug them straight into this. This has voltage regulators on board. So down here, you've got your power. I've just got my little power plug here. I'm powering it off a 12-volt power supply. That's, I think, the most common, but it can handle 6 to 24 volts. And then it has 5-volt and 3.3-volt regulators on it. So the board itself is actually getting powered off that 5-volt rail. But you also have 3.3 volt, which is the logic of the controller itself. So if you have different things that need that voltage, you can do that. The way that's going to work, down here, there are these little jumpers that are connecting your voltage rails to either the 5 or the 3.3 volt regulator. It's going to come as 5 volt out of the box from us. So these will always be configured. It's these little red jumpers, or they could actually be black jumpers. The other jumpers we've got going on are these two right here. This is actually what's connecting the board to that power supply. So otherwise it wouldn't actually be connected anywhere, but this is connecting ground and that 5 volt to power the board itself. Again, off of that 5 volt. If you change to the 3.3 volt on this side, you need to also move this so that you're powering your board off 3.3 on its 3.3 pin. Right now it's connected to its 5 volt pin. It wants 5 volts. It needs 5 volts. So just look at that, think about that, ask us if you have questions about that, or don't worry about it. I've got my network connection. Right now I've got the setup on Wi-Fi, and we're going to do an initial setup. So I have taken this board, I have just plugged it in. I haven't done anything else. And over here, the next thing I've done on my computer itself is I've gone into my Wi-Fi and I found its AP. So if I just plug it into network Ethernet cable to my network, it'll just be on the network and fine. It'll get an IP address and I'm off to the races. But if I don't do that, then what's going to happen when it powers up, it's going to look, see that it doesn't have Ethernet, see that it doesn't have a configured Wi-Fi address or connection. So it's going to then start up its own access point. And that is a Wi-Fi network that it starts that I can join. I have joined that on my computer. It shows up in your networks as Nexus controller dash, and then 4 looks like random letters and numbers. That's actually the MAC address of the board. You don't really need to think about that. It's just a way that each one will have a unique address. So if I plug in 3 of these at the same time, I can have all of them pop up. So I've connected to that, and it automatically opens up a browser. If it doesn't automatically open up that little captive portal browser, then you can open up any browser and go to this IP address, 192.168.4.1. You can also, with iOS or Mac devices, you can tend to go to captive.apple.com. That's just your little free tidbit for things in general. Anytime you're accessing an access point from something, you got onto the restaurant's Wi-Fi and it doesn't give you the login screen, captive.apple.com gets you there almost all the time. So anyway, I go to that IP address. It should do it automatically, but if not, I bring it up there and it gives me this. I'm on initial setup. So I'm going to set a device name first. This right here, this name is what that Wi-Fi address was, and whatever I set this to is what it will be in the future. This is also how I'm going to get to it on my network. So I'm going to name this Nexus Demo. I have this little identify button. If I click on that, it's going to make the light flash. So you see how I've had that light flashing there. I'm going to hit it again, and you can see that little light flashes there. That can tell me if I do connect to 3 of them, which one am I talking about? And I have it now so that I can use it to set the name. This is this prop. And then you have this hide AP after startup window. If I don't intend to actually put this onto my network, I'm just going to use this to configure the prop, and then I'm going to leave it alone. It's not actually going to be on the network. I'm not going to use any of those features. Then I should check this box. This box is going to make it not show its access point, its little captive portal, 5 minutes after it boots. That way I can't have someone who can walk in and I just see a bunch of Nexus controllers on the open Wi-Fi, and I could try to connect to them and wreak havoc. So again, check that box if you're not putting it on the network. If you put it on the network, no harm, no foul. It's not ever going to show it anyway, because it's only going to show the AP if it can't get onto a network. But this will let it hide that. And then if you ever do need to get to it again, power cycle it, and for those first 5 minutes, you'll be able to connect to it and find it. So I've got my name. I'm going to hit continue. I can set an admin password. This is probably a good idea. We're going to talk briefly about security and just say that in general, these things are on your network, and we're considering your network secure. Your network should be secure. You shouldn't let people on it that don't need to get on it. Use a guest network if you need to for things like that. But your network is secure, so since your network is secure, the board doesn't need to be more secure than that a lot of the time. Something you might want to do, you may want to set an admin password if you just want to keep your general game masters and things like that out of the backend config. And so that's where you would want to set one. I'm not setting one for right now because it slows me down a little bit as I'm having to log in every time. I have to keep entering it, but that's me and my setup at the moment. Here I can connect to Wi-Fi. I'm going to say, yes, I'm going to connect to Wi-Fi. I'm going to connect to this. That's my, my network. And there is my password. Hit continue. And here's where I can either go into the prop wizard or manual setup. We'll do more on the prop wizard a little bit later, but that is how I would do my initial config if I was doing just a simple prop that's in there. Or I can go manual setup, and that's going to finish my initial. So now it saves it. This, either way, when you click go, is going to restart the board because it needs to restart it to get it onto that network. And in the process, it's also going to kick me off of that little AP. Like I said, I joined its network. It's now kicked me back to my main site. And so I now need to reconnect to the device. Connecting to the device is going to be from that name. So we called it nexusdemo.local. So that little prop controller name I did, nexusdemo.local, and that is going to bring up the UI for the prop itself. So now I'm back on my regular network. Again, it kicked me back over when it restarted, and here we go. There's my prop. And that's how I'm going to get to it in the future. I'm going to go whatever I called it, .local. Other ways of finding it is the Nexus Controller Manager app, which I'll show you guys later. That is the only actual app in the lineup anywhere. Everything else is just in the browser, but it is something that can basically look out on the network and find your props, find your things that are like automatically discovered, so you can get into it a little easier if you don't remember exactly what you named it or exactly how you do it, or if you're managing a fleet and you've got multiple of these props. But that is our initial config. We're in, we're ready to go.